The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, good morning. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I think that's Chip over there.
Yeah, well, the screen froze on my screen. So, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And you've already met CJ. He's here. All right, Captain COVID.
Yeah, we got a lot of
Commander
information today on COVID. All right. I'm looking directly at the state's publication here. Total confirmed cases is 113,517. Newly reported cases is 319. Total deaths 8,568. Newly reported deaths 21. The state no longer reports on county deaths for us, so that kind of irritates me a little bit. But hey, what can you do? And as of yesterday, we had 1,856 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in Fall River after being notified of one more case from yesterday. We've had a total of 119 fatalities attributed to COVID-19. Stay safe and healthy, folks. State numbers can be found below. That's the message from the mayor. Here's the problem. The Fall River has been named the red hot zone. We're number one in the list. And the mayor said that that's wrong, because, you know, the mayor would know, because the state has not counted properly. And they're attributing cases to us, and we're the one we're getting hit with now, this new COVID crisis. My question is, Mr. Mayor, if these numbers are correct, which I believe they are, if these numbers are correct, and because we've seen spikes in the double digits the past couple of weeks, why are you still promoting a drive-in and a 3-on-3 basketball game? Now, I've been told the 3-on-3 basketball game has been postponed, which I'm grateful for if that is the case. But the last time you had a drive-in, people were out of their cars, and the driving regulations clearly state that people must stay in their cars. Yet you keep flaunting the regulation by turning around saying, bring a blanket, bring your chair, sit outside the car, make yourself comfortable. They can't do that. They must stay in their vehicles. I'm not trying to, be a party pooper on your big party, Mr. Mayor, but the bottom line is the rules are the rules, and they're the rules for everyone. And maybe this is why we're in the red zone. Maybe this is why that we're seeing the double-digit increases, because you had your drive-in. Maybe that contributed to some of those double-digit increases. And I'm sure there are other things going on in Fall River, like down at the Cove and the Tipsy Seagull, where people are back-to-back out on the decks, where there's no social distancing whatsoever. Maybe that's an issue. Maybe there's an issue where people are sitting at the bars eating when they're not supposed to be, like at the new restaurant on Purchase Street, which I'm hoping they've corrected. But this is the issue that we have. And you wonder why the numbers are going up and why we're in the red zone. That's why we're in the red zone. And I believe that the numbers are accurate. I don't think you're going to see the state around say, oh, no, we made a mistake. We're not in the red zone. You're in the yellow zone. Doesn't matter whether we're in the red or the yellow. We're still higher than other cities and towns.
Well, I believe, this is, again, CJ, whether it's coronavirus or whether it's crime or whatever we get affixed to Fall River, if it's a negative, which it invariably in about 99.9% of the cases it is, what is the response from the Fall River government, the city council, the mayor? They're wrong. This isn't the most dangerous city in the state. This isn't a hot spot. Well, with all due respect to the mayor, I think that the state, as much as I don't trust government at all, but I would have to say that the state has far more resources to compute cases than the mayor does. I don't think we have although I shouldn't even float this idea because they'll probably establish one this afternoon and pay them all good money, all their friends and relatives on it. We don't have a task force that's commissioned to track these numbers. The state does. The state does it on a daily basis throughout the state. So I would say that if I had to trust numbers, even though I don't trust any numbers from government, I would say I would give a higher probability of the state being correct than the man just having a reaction and saying they're wrong. Because that's what they do all the time in Fall River. You know that. I know that. We see it all the time. If anything comes out that's negative, even if it's fact, and we all know it's fact, the first thing out of the council's mouth or a mayor's mouth is, no, that's not true. Fall River doesn't have crime. Fall River didn't have gangs. Fall River doesn't have drug problems. Fall River doesn't. If you actually listen to these people, this is like Chuck. This is utopia. This is a block party. So, I totally agree, CJ, that I think that it's unfortunate, but unfortunately, I believe that the state is probably right. And I think I told you the other night when I was driving down President Avenue, and there were at least 50 people, at least, maybe more, on those basketball courts at the corner of Robeson and President Avenue. I don't know whether they had a league going or what, but there were 2 full court games going, and literally 40 or 50 people encircling the entire fenced-in area watching the games, maybe waiting to play the second game. Not one of them had a mask on. They were all going face-to-face playing basketball. So, this is the kind of stuff that, look, unfortunately, if the public wants to do this, we're not going to be able to control the spread. So that's just my spin on it. So.
Well, I've seen the same over here at Pulaski Park. Almost nightly, you see 40, 50 people playing basketball, doing things over there, all no masks, all back to back, side to side, no social distancing. And the mayor thought it was important to open up those basketball courts, but I think that's going to be the source again of more cases because again, people are not following the rules. And the governor has said it before as well. People are not following the rules. The rules are there for a reason. Governor Raimondo in Rhode Island said the same thing. The problem we're having is people aren't following the rules. Just look at the Block Island Ferry. I mean, they're showing cameras on the nightly news of people, jam-packed onto the ferry. That's the ferry company's fault. Nobody else's. Keep those people apart. Don't overflow your bill. They're out there for the cash. And that's a problem.
No, you're right.
It's getting worse.
It is. And the problem we had is with, look, I mean, I understand people want to play basketball and it's very frustrating not to go to the gym or play basketball and do things like this. But unfortunately, there's a total disregard for what's happening here. When I went by and looked, and I came back on President Avenue and it was still going on. And it was a very big variance of age. They had some younger kids, looked like maybe middle school kids or something, that maybe play basketball in a league or something. And there were older people. There were adults playing basketball. But that's the problem. I mean, obviously, the people who are playing basketball are in fairly good shape. They probably don't have a lot of comorbidities. But what happens with this is they all congregate together. And even if they do have it, they probably would get it mild or be asymptomatic. And what they do is then they go back home. The younger kids go back to their parents, maybe their grandparents. And now this is how the stuff spreads. They don't pay, they just have no conception of the fact that, look, you're out there and you may have it and you're a carrier, but if you don't, you get it from somebody else and you're young and you don't even get enough symptoms to pay attention to it. But when you go home, you're walking into a house with maybe your grandparents there, your parents, your other extended family members, and this is the way this thing spreads.
No question about it. No question about it. And this is what's happening in Fall River. And that's why we're in the hot zone. So I want to see what the mayor, instead of the mayor saying, no, they're wrong, why isn't the mayor taking precautions based upon the potential and the high probability that they're correct? That's the issue we have to look at. We also have to look at the fact that we're on the Rhode Island line. And we get a lot of people that come into Fall River from Rhode Island. What's to say that people coming in from Rhode Island are not bringing the virus in and spreading the virus here when they go grocery shopping, when they come in and do the things that they want to do? These are issues that we have to look at. These are issues that we must consider. And I don't think the mayor is considering them. And I don't think Tess Curran is considering them either, who is our Director of Health and Human Services. When I called over to that office the other day, the woman who answered the phone was a nurse. And I gave her a report of a couple of businesses that really didn't care, obviously. And she said, I am so swamped, I don't even have time to take these phone calls. We have no help in this office. No help in this office. Imagine that. Imagine that. We're in a health crisis, and the health department doesn't have help in this office. Really? Is that what's happening?
Priorities.
You know what the priorities are? Giving my friends a job. Making sure I have a special assistant to the mayor that can handle press releases. Oh, wait a minute. I said during my campaign that I don't need somebody to speak for me. But obviously you do. Because you have a special assistant that just handles press releases.
So, we know how government is. Do as I say, not as I do. But while we're doing that, CJ, I've got a segue. I received another call about the city council meeting when when that motion to table, etc. And maybe you can help me, because sometimes I don't know whether I have not only I have a targeted deafness when some people speak over there. It's like I really don't get everything. But apparently, as we did discuss the parliamentary procedure on that water fee increase, that there was a motion to table, and then Kadeem made a motion to take it off made a motion or seconded it to take it off the table, and then they re-voted it. Somebody told me that the statement was actually made to a council who opposed it when they began to re-vote it, that the president of the city council is the parliamentarian and can make any ruling he wants. Kadeem said that. Well, that's absolutely wrong. In many instances, by parliamentary procedure, when I was the union president, I was the parliamentarian on any discussions of violations of parliamentary procedure. However, I was a parliamentarian, but if somebody disagreed with me, they could appeal my ruling to the international. They could question the ruling of the chair and bring it to a vote on the floor. But let me explain something to Mr. Kadeem, who obviously is used to with management that makes the rules and not parliamentary procedure. Even in spite of the fact that the president of the city council is the parliamentarian, you can question the ruling of the chair at any time. And also, as the parliamentarian, he doesn't have the right to change the rules, only to interpret them. And there is no interpretation on a motion to reconsider. He can't say, well, even though the rule says someone on the prevailing side has to make the motion to reconsider, that now I'm gonna entertain that motion as an in order motion when there was no prevailing side. There was no prevailing side. So he cannot rule anything he wants. He can interpret something, but he cannot change the rules. If a motion, and a motion to reconsider is a priority motion. A motion to reconsider is established, and the primary function of the first thing they talk about a motion to reconsider is that the motion has to be made by someone on the prevailing side. And secondly, it can only be entertained that meeting or the following meeting. So he doesn't. Cliff Ponte did not have the right to make that ruling, and I told the person who called me about it that what you should do the next time that happens in the council is stand up and demand a point of order. Clarify the fact that a reconsideration vote, you can read it. Get your copy of the rules of order. Read what it says. It says it has to be someone from the prevailing side. Remind the chair that they do not have the right to rewrite the rules with their rulings. They only have the right to interpret the rules. And then challenge the chair and take a vote. And the chair cannot vote on one of his rulings. So if that would have happened, the fee would never have been approved because the chair cannot vote on that because he's the one, it's his ruling, there is a conflict of interest. So he's out of the picture. And the other one, so there were eight councilors there. Then
Only
there was
7, actually. Chris Peckham wasn't at the meeting.
There were 7.
Right. Chris Peckham wasn't at the meeting.
8 with the president.
Right.
But the president couldn't vote, so there would have been 7. So if there were 4 people not in favor, it would have prevailed 4-3. So, but this is the thing that irritates me when I see government. They only worry about laws and process when it suits them. When it doesn't suit them, it's that doesn't apply to me. Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Let's screw the taxpayers. So, but the reality is, people will say, "Well, all you're doing is delaying the inevitable," because they were going to vote it anyway. You had Kilby flip, you had Peckham flip. It's going to go through. The political pressure is too much on some of these people who don't have the courage to stand their ground. And guess what? It doesn't matter to me. I just want to. If I was there, I would expose it just for what it is. Let everybody understand this is nothing more than a political sham. You're gonna get another fee rammed down your throat, no matter what you say. And the only way you're gonna stop this is by putting people in the council who are willing to stand their ground for the taxpayer. I had to get that one in because that really pissed me off when I got that call. It was like. When they make these statements like the Oracle of Delphi, no, you're not. The parliamentarian can't change the rules. He can interpret the rules. He cannot rewrite the rules of order.
I agree totally. And the thing is that maybe I should send them a book on parliamentary procedure, every one of them. I can get them from Toastmasters, so maybe I'll just get 9 copies and send them out to them so that they can understand how to, do parliamentary procedure.
Well,
it's not that difficult.
They should get one from the city as soon as they're elected.
I agree.
They should have got it themselves. When I was elected president of the union, even though I was familiar to a degree, we used at the time Atwood's Rules of Order, not Roberts, because that was discretionary at the time. The International allowed the locals to use either Atwood's and Atwood's is a little bit more manageable rule for the average person. The first thing I did when I got elected is get a copy of that thing and read it cover to cover about 28 times, and made sure I always had a copy in my briefcase at the meeting so I could quote verbatim from the rules of order if there were any questions. So But if they don't have one, shame on them. But if they want to reach out to CJ, he'll be glad to provide you with one.
I'll be more than happy to send them. And I have a copy of Cushing's Rules of Order. It's an ancient copy. And I mean, it's so old, I think the cover will fall off if you bend it too much. So that shows you how old it is. And I keep it directly in a bureau drawer just in case I have a question when I need it. Cushing's is definitely a rule of order that was created by a politician. No question about it.
That's right. It has things that are really, really terrible, but Cushing's is the one they use because it was made for politicians. Roberts and Atwood's rules of order were made to run a meeting in an orderly fashion, not to be political. So it is what it is. So what do you have on your agenda before I go off on it?
Oh, I don't have much of an agenda today because the city council took it away, except last night they had a committee meeting on ordinance and legislation. And again, they want to slam it to the taxpayer. They want to slam it to the property owner. They now want to be able to fine the property owner instead of the generator of the trash. And John Perry and Mary Sahadi made it very clear that they currently have no teeth in the ordinance the way it's written, because when they write the tickets and write the fines, nobody pays them because it's almost impossible to prove it. So what they want to do is they want to make the property owner there to do the job that they couldn't or wouldn't do. And I made it very clear in my letter to the city council about that, to the committee. Here it is. And Mr. Perry referred back to some of my statements in my letter, and I thought it was very interesting. So the letter I sent them was, please be advised that I have noticed that the mayor is proposing changing section 62-48 from generator of the trash to the property owner. This is unacceptable and unfair to the property owners. The changing of this ordinance will place an undue burden on property owners, both locally and out of the city, to police the trash generated by the tenants of their buildings or buildings. The city has never truly tried to enforce this ordinance as it currently stands, as it was too burdensome for the city employees to handle or perform. So the mayor wants to shift the responsibility to the property owner and generate another money grab for the city of Fall River. Property owners in the city of Fall River are already overburdened with increased water and sewer rates, increasing property taxes, and increasing fees for other services. So now the mayor wants to generate even more cash by fining property owners for an item that they cannot control or police. If the city could not or would not police the trash for this information, how can the city expect the property owners to do this? I ask that the changes proposed into section 62-48 be sent to the city council with a negative recommendation or with a leave to withdraw recommendation. I thank you for your time in the matter. Instead, they sent it to the corporate council.
Well, again, this may be another purple bag moment. This may be the thing that finally gets the people and the property owners and the people of Fall River up off their butts to get rid of the government again, to drain this new swamp that we have, to get rid of the people. Shift it to the property. As you said, we had trash enforcement officers that never did anything. Yeah, they weren't even around for a while. They never enforced it. So as government always does, what is the solution to the problem? It's throw money at it or take money away from the taxpayer. Now you're going to go to the landlord and make him pay for something that you could not enforce for how long? For how long? Since the implementation of purple bags, you could not enforce that. That was the Flanagan era. How many mayors have we had since? How much time has gone by since that this wasn't enforced? So once we had Typhoid Mary, now we got Taxoid Mary, our CFO. All she wants to do is get money. She doesn't care where it comes from. She doesn't care that the property owners are being victimized. And she's already forgotten with political amnesia, which runs rampant with politicians. She's already forgotten that they've had 10 years to enforce this. We've lost 10 years worth of fines and money because you didn't do the job even when you were given the resources to do the job. You had enforcement officers. Even with the resources, you could not do it. So what's the solution? Rob money from the property owner. If this doesn't outrage people, I don't know what will. Because that's all they ever do. That's all they ever do. They can't do the job, so they penalize the taxpayers. They can't control spending, so we have to have a 2.5% increase every year. They can't control anything, so we need an override and fee increases all the time. When is it going to end? It's going to end when you people get your butts to the damn polls, not this coming November, where you should because major election, but next November when all these people are on a ballot again. And every single one of you should call every single counselor and say, if you vote to shift this burden to property owners, you're not going to be in.
Well, interestingly enough, there's 7,000 people, over 7,000 people have requested a mail-in ballot. I want to see if those 7,000 people return that ballot, because I'm going to tell you now, if they can vote because it's mail-in, they can vote going to the poll. It's that simple, but they never do it, and I want to know why. Okay, this is the problem that we have in Florida. This is why they get away with all of this, because nobody votes, and because nobody votes, we end up paying for it. Well, Chip, you have a tirade, and I think you've got about 3 minutes to do it in, not 2 minutes.
Oh, no, it's not really a tirade. It's just an observation, and it really disturbs me because, look, on this show, we say the things nobody else says. But, the media and I mean, we see what's going on in the country. It's outrageous. Everybody, the George Floyd movement has been hijacked by anarchists and stuff. But the mainstream media is disgusting. This morning, I guess they're talking about that 4-year-old black boy who was killed. They found the perpetrator, which is great, and all lives matter. But yesterday, I saw on only one media outlet a 4-year-old boy in North Carolina was shot in front of his home while he was riding his bicycle by a black man. And supposedly the reason was, according to them, and this is what the media reported, that the boy had ridden his bike over his lawn. So I just wonder about equity and fairness, because you know something? To me, it's irrelevant what color that young man was. We had a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old that were murdered. Murdered. That is what counts. And for the mainstream media, virtually not even to mention this 5-year-old in North Carolina, just goes to show that how far we've come from what America was founded to be, a country of equality, where everybody is treated equally. Everybody has a right to their opinion, even if you disagree. And it was supposed to be evolving into a country where that echoed the sentiments of Martin Luther King when he said he longs for a time when people were judged on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And that applies to every single person in this country. And it's a travesty that they're using division politics to destroy the very foundation of our country. So that's my second tirade. Well, great. You got us right to the end. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching. We love being in your home. We love having the time to spend with you. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Thanks for